2K Games is the latest company to run afoul of Belgium's gambling laws. Finding itself unable to implement loot boxes in that country, the company has had to shut down that crummy little part of its economy. But in that country only. 2K's NBA series joins such games as Overwatch in the category of titles that have simply disabled their loot boxes because the publishers sat around with their thumbs up their asses assuming that the law wouldn't apply to them, because big companies are always surprised when they find out that sometimes, just sometimes, the law does apply to them as well. Belgium ruled that loot boxes are gambling, but major publishers are refusing to accept it, probably because if they do, then other countries may look at them and say, okay, you know this is gambling, now explain to us how it's not. The companies have had to comply, of course. They've taken the loot boxes out, but their statements about doing so are often a little bit whiny, like a kid who's been told to go to bed early without any supper. Except these companies have had multiple suppers and they're annoyed they can't have one more, which is a bit like me, if I'm honest. 2K Games is a sleazy, slimy publisher that we will be talking about on the Gymquisition here soon, and their NBA series in particular has become ever more monstrous as the company desperately claws and scrapes for every last penny it can get out of you. And on this note, this particular note, 2K Games is going down swinging, or rather it's going down wanting its fans to swing for it. Because in a statement made about the Belgium ruling, 2K Games has begged its fans to contact the government and tell them that they want the gambling in their game. The Belgium Gaming Commission, BGC, has stated that games which include certain loot box style mechanics violate gambling laws in Belgium, said 2K in a statement called Statement Belgium. While we disagree with this position, we are working to comply with the BGC's current interpretation of these laws. As a result, we have made some local changes to the My Team mode. These changes are necessary in order for us to accommodate the BGC's interpretation of the Belgian Gaming Act. Specifically, we will be turning off the ability to purchase packs with premium, non-earned currency/VC. Gamers are still able to acquire packs with My Team points. We will be continuing conversations with the BGC in order to explain our view on how NBA 2K and My Team pack purchases already comply with local laws. If you agree, we recommend that you contact your local government representative to communicate your opinion. We will keep the community posted on any developments. We apologise for any inconvenience. Oh, trust me, 2K, it's never inconvenient to not have loot boxes in your game. Well, unless you don't rebalance the economy that you fucked up to give loot boxes the appearance of value. Which is something we already know that happens, since Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Shadow of War had to rebalance their entire economies once they took their loot boxes out. Anyway, this is just desperate. This is pitiful. 2K Games is but one of several companies that have run afoul of the law that says that loot boxes are gambling, and they just won't suck it the fuck up. It's not like they aren't already making tons of money off these games. 2K releases an NBA title a year and has slowly and steadily given it the economy of a free-to-play game, except of course it's not free-to-play and has multiple special editions that run up to silly money. They are already raking in cash hand over fist, and they're upset because they can't have gambling on top of it. I swear if the executives in any of these AAA game publishers went to Willy Wonka's bloody chocolate factory, they'd be swallowed up in chocolate rivers and turned into bloody blueberries within seconds. Not even minutes, seconds. The Oompa Loompas would have their fucking number, mate. And I think it's simply amazing that 2K, after years of screwing customers over and fucking around with them and manipulating them, are now begging them to go to bat for them. They don't deserve it. I'm sure some people will. I'm sure many people will do this legwork on 2K's behalf. There were quite a few people back in the day who were in the thrall of loot boxes and wouldn't hear a bad word said about them. That doesn't mean they bloody deserve it. None of these companies deserve anyone on the customer side having their back. They're not your friends. They're not ever going to look out for you. No corporate entity deserves normal people looking out for them, because if they could screw any one of you over for an extra $20, they would do it gladly, gleefully even. They work harder and harder to give you less game for more money, and they want you to pledge your undying fealty to them and go to war on their behalf. And if you live in Belgium, I would advise you not to do it. I don't think you should do it. They don't deserve that from you. You have more dignity than that. Don't do it for me, I don't have skin in that particular game. I live in America where publishers will be able to do almost anything they friggin' want. But can you just imagine for a second if casinos told their fans to contact the government and tell them that they want children to be able to gamble? And I'm making that analogy just for the sheer ludicrousness of telling your audience, hey, we want to do this thing that isn't legal. Please tell the government to let us do it. You know, I want to hollow out a pumpkin, put it on my head, wear flippers on my feet, and run around the local Best Buy screaming in the customers' faces. But Best Buy wouldn't let me do it. They'd throw me out within moments. My recourse there is to not do it. I'm not going to get my audience to petition Best Buy to let me run around doing pumpkin screams at people. Tell the government you want it. Tell the government you want something that goes against your interests as a customer and has been demonstrably ruining the experience of games in which it features. Paid loot boxes have been, are, and always will be bloody exploitative. They are designed to be exploitative by their very nature. They are randomized. They are designed to trigger addictive tendencies. They use all of the tactics of gambling and have only survived thanks to a lack of political interest and companies diminishing their presence in games to keep that interest out of their business. After seeing what happened with Star Wars Battlefront 2, a lot of publishers steered well clear of that PR black hole, but some companies are still clinging on, most notably sports games and stuff published by Activision Blizzard. And paid loot boxes were only ever thrown into these games to make even more money on top of the cash they were already making. EA itself has admitted to shareholders that the disabling of loot boxes would have no material impact on the money they were going to rake in. It's all just seasoning, the cherry on top of the cash pile. 2K Games makes more than enough money off its NBA series, but more than enough is not enough. That's the takeaway message from this. More than enough is not bloody enough for these publishers. And now they're going cap in hand to the very people that they're screwing over, asking them to tell the government to let them screw them over even more. Utterly pitiful. Just, ugh, 2K. Ugh.